Let's cross to Beirut and Carol Malouf, who's filmed a documentary on the refugees traveling from Turkey all the way to Germany. Thank you for speaking with us again here on France 24. From Turkey, you were smuggled along with Syrian refugees on a boat. Tell us what that was like.
That's true. I have been through this experience that we just saw now, and it's quite dangerous and dreadful. It's part of what I call the organized illegal immigration to Europe. We call it a refugee crisis. But what I have seen out of experience is that not more than probably 20% of the people who get on those boats are actually Syrian refugees. You have different nationalities. There are people pretending to be refugees. You have Iranians, Kurds, Afghans, Pakistanis, Africans. So it's an international crisis, in my opinion, and not just a Syrian refugee crisis. The smuggling is also very interesting. It's very well organized. There are intermediaries. You pay them. I paid personally $1,200 just to get on this rubber dinghy, just to cross over from Turkey to Greece, and the people are left on their own. There are no smugglers on the boats. So the amount of petrol that is put on those small dinghies is only enough to get you right to the coast. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough petrol, so we were around 200 meters away from the Mytilene Island, from the coast of Mytilene Island in Greece, and we were luckily towed by a Greek boat that was there on the coast. So I was just wondering what would have happened to the children hadn't that boat been there. So it's quite a dangerous situation, and I believe Turkey is facilitating this illegal immigration, and it's quite well organized on the Turkish side.
Okay, so let me ask you before I ask you about
yes.
before I ask you about Turkey. Let me just ask you: did the smugglers know that you were a journalist?
Well, yes. What happened actually was when we were in downtown Izmir, you actually meet with your intermediary. You don't. The people do not know who the smugglers are. There is no direct contact between the Turkish smugglers and the people who get on those boats. So through the intermediary, when we were filming the process of how you go and buy the life jackets, they take you to exchange euros, and then you go to a meeting point. When we got to the meeting point and they knew that I was a journalist, the intermediary came and told me, if they know you're a journalist, they will kill you. This is very dangerous. So there was a lot of undercover shooting. The filming was undercover. We were threatened more than once to keep a low profile, and I didn't mention once we were moved from the meeting point that I was a journalist. And then when we crossed over on our way to Macedonia, I also got arrested at the Macedonian border. They also searched me. They thought something was fishy. When they knew that I was a journalist, I was arrested. I was put in prison for 8 hours and deported the next morning through the border crossing to Serbia. And then we met up with the people we were traveling with, the Syrians that we were traveling with in Belgrade, and we continued the journey with them.
You said a minute ago the Turkish smugglers. Were they in fact? Is it in fact Turkish people who are running these smuggling rings? And you're saying that Turkey is facilitating all of this?
Well, if you see the number of people in downtown Izmir who are waiting to get on those, smuggling buses, I always say if the Turkish intelligence don't know about it, it's a problem, and if they know about it and are turning a blind eye, it's actually a bigger problem. You see, Francois, if you calculate the money that comes out of this illegal, the human trafficking, if we were 45 people on a 9-meter boat, we almost sank from the weight. If each person on this boat pays $1,200, and if you have an average of 10 boats a day, that's $500,000 a day for the smugglers. So it's definitely it's well organized. It's people call it a mafia, like running it. But I would say it's much more organized than just having the mafia, because I'm sure that, there are people who know that this is happening. It's easy. You go there, you meet with people, you're spending the day going to get smuggled. So somebody must know about it, and somebody is definitely turning a blind eye on.
And how do you feel?
Process.
How do you feel when you're talking about $500,000 a day? How do you feel about the fact that the EU right now is negotiating with Turkey, perhaps turning a blind eye to human rights violations there, as they negotiate a deal whereby more of those refugees will stay in Turkey and not come to Europe?
Well, you see, I think that the neighboring countries over the past almost 5 years now into the Syrian crisis have paid a huge toll on, when it comes to the refugee crisis. You have 13 million Syrians between IDPs, internally displaced people, or refugees in neighboring countries. I think probably it's a policy that has been used by Turkey to have Europe get some, a taste of what happens in neighboring countries, and probably pressure them to get into those talks that you've just mentioned. Europe has been not very active. It has not been seen to be active in trying to resolve the Syrian crisis. So it could have been a policy to, pressure the European Union to feel the heat of what is happening and how the neighboring countries are dealing with the refugee crisis.
And are dealing with the refugee crisis.
We also have to bear in mind.
Carol Malouf, we're out of time. That Syrian family that you followed all the way to Germany, they're safe and sound?
Yes, we had a 18-year-old pregnant newlywed woman with us, and she made it to Germany safely, and the child was also in good condition. So that's the good side.
And when can we see your documentary?
That's the positive story. Next week, it starts airing on Al-An television. It's a pan-Arab television broadcasting out of Dubai, and it's a National Star production. And soon we're going to do a 1-hour cut down in English to be broadcasted on other international stations.
Carol Malouf, look forward to seeing it. Thanks so much for talking to us from Beirut.